Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts back once again with another video for you guys. Today I'm here to review the two Metallica concerts I went to this past weekend in Detroit, Michigan, November 10th, November 12th, Friday and Sunday. I'm here to review both nights, so I'll have that in the timestamps in the description or whatever, so you guys can skip to night 2 if you want to hear my review for that first and jump back to night 1 or whatever you want to do. However, I do have to make this small little thing here known in case you're unaware, because I posted on social media. I really didn't post it anywhere else. Yeah, so my wife was supposed to be at both shows. I bought tickets for both shows, and I screwed up. You know, we left too late. That's the issue, because I was on Ticketmaster. It said 6 o'clock. For some reason, I'm thinking, okay, so 6 o'clock, okay, we can leave at this certain point. We'll get down there. We'll find parking. That did not happen. We had traffic going up there before we even got there, and then once we got there, it was a complete disaster, complete shit show. I mean, it was like probably like 100,000 people or so in that stadium to see Metallica, to see these two concerts, and so we got there too damn late, and so she had to wait. She had to drive out of the city and wait while I was in the show, and so she wasn't there night 1. I hate it. It still makes me mad, and it's a really big lesson in terms of being more prepared, because night 2, she was there, everything's fine, but I have to preface that because I did not get in until really late night 1, because I was still on the phone with her as she dropped me off, for her to try to find parking, and the one place she did find, it was prepaid and all that, so it was a disaster. So yeah, it was really not a good night. The only good thing was Metallica, right, and I heard a little bit of Pantera at the end, which I'll get to more of that in the night 1 review, but just letting you know, it was not good. It was not a good night for sure. It wasn't a good day Saturday as well in between. But we got there really early night 2 Sunday, but just letting you know, that is a big thing against night 1, but it isn't because of Metallica. It's because of the personal stuff. It really just irritated me that she wasn't there with me, because I really couldn't enjoy it like I wanted to. So with that all being said, let's dive into night 1. Let's dive into night 1. This is the set list that I got. I'm actually going to go through it and talk a little bit about some of the songs through this set. And of course, we're going to night 2 as well. But as I was mentioning in that little discussion beforehand about my wife missing night 1, I missed all of Mammoth, the first opening band. I missed hearing them entirely. I might have heard at one point them playing in the distance because it was really loud, but I wasn't there in person. And when I finally got in after realizing my wife is not going to be able to get in, I heard the ending of Pantera set. I heard Hostile, the ending of Hostile, that song. They jumped into Walk, which was great to hear. And then they played like an extended ending of Walk. Then they played the middle section of the kind of breakdown riff, da-da-dun, 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 kind of slower from Domination. Just played the whole song in my opinion, but whatever. And then Cowboys from Hell. They sounded great from what I've heard, but I did not hear the whole sets, unfortunately. But they sounded great, and I had pretty decent seats in terms of being close to the stage, kinda. So it was good to see them play, and they just announced that they're also going on a new, kind of a tour, kind of headlining next year, so that's kind of interesting with the lineup they have now. So there's that. But they sounded great. Pantera sounded great. The sound quality was there. It was really awesome. Metallica, of course, this set here. So I'm going to dive in here. I actually have it on my phone as well, because my monitor up there is showing that, so I don't want to keep looking up here when I'm supposed to be looking at you. So now, I've been keeping up with the set list for Metallica. Now, well, first of all, they sounded great. They sounded great live. It was awesome. Of course, I had the issue with my wife not being there, so it's constantly on my brain. But I was trying my best to focus on the music. Now, I did record my reactions to night 1 and night 2, and that video will go up a little bit later this week, just letting you know. But let's dive into this set list a little bit, and then I'll talk more about the actual overall experience of night 1 besides my wife not being there. Just have to keep making that point, because that really just irritated me to death and made me so fucking mad. So night 1, here's the set. So we have Creeping Death, Harvester, and Through the Never. Now, great 3-song opener in my opinion. Creeping Death, of course, always great opening, and I figured they were going to open with that. Harvester, sorry, I've heard that a number of times live in person. I would prefer something else, but it's okay. It was great to hear that live. Through the Never, that was a nice surprise. I believe in 2018 they pulled that out, because I don't think they weren't playing it that much from what I remember around that time when I saw them in 2018. But it was good to hear that song. Leper Messiah, track number 4. That, or at least the fourth, this is track number 4, the 4th song on the set list. Leper Messiah was a surprise. Now, not a surprise, it wasn't like they never played it on this tour before. It's that I wasn't expecting it, because I'm like, they may play it, they may not, and I'm so glad they did, because to me, it's an underrated track from Master of Puppets. I love the fact they played Leper Messiah, and it was great. It sounded great live. It was really cool to hear that live. Then we go into Lux Æterna, Too Far Gone, Fade to Black, and Shadows Follow. Now, the 3 songs from the St.Anger seasons sounded great. Too Far Gone was awesome. I love that song. I really love that song. It's great to hear that live. Lux Æterna, was pretty solid in my opinion. It's a song that I enjoy. I sang all the songs throughout both nights, but it was just like, like maybe a Room of Mirrors, something else, but I get Lux Æterna is a single, so I get the point. Fade to Black, always amazing to hear live. I was thinking about my grandfather actually when that was playing a little bit. I know it's completely different subject matter in terms of suicide and everything, but I started thinking about him because it's a very emotional song. And Shadows Follow, that was great to hear live. It's a great song. And all the 72 Seasons songs, including Night 2 as well, all the live stuff sounded great from 72 Seasons, so that was really good. But Shadows Follow sounded great. Orion, checking off something on my bucket list, seeing a instrumental live in person. I've heard, Orion, Call of Cthulhu, To Live Is To Die, the one performance. I've seen those live videos, a lot. But seeing it in person is a very different experience, and Orion sounded awesome. It was so good. So I'm glad I could check that off my Metallica bucket list, because I've always wanted to hear an instrumental in person. I never thought it would happen, and thank God this tour exists that I can actually say I've heard two instrumentals, and I'll get to the second one, of course, Call of Cthulhu, Night 2, but I can say I've heard two instrumentals in person. That's freaking amazing. Nothing else matters. It's okay, it's overplayed. I've heard it so much. Sad but true, same thing, but I sang both songs. It is okay. The Day That Never Comes. Kind of figured it was going to happen, but it was still nice to hear that song because, Death Magnetic, they hardly play Death Magnetic songs besides The Day That Never Comes really anymore. So it's nice that they actually played it. I know they played Cyanide randomly one night, I think, on this tour somewhere. I'm not sure, but it was good to hear that. Hardwired, I thought, I'm going to keep it in my reaction video later, I thought when the intro played that it was Spit Out the Bone. I was freaking out, and then I realized, wait, this is not Spit Out the Bone. My brain was all over the place, obviously, so it was a lot, but it was cool to hear Hardwired. This is the part where Lars actually screwed up the drumming a little bit, because at the end, Hardwired to self-destruct, dun, 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 self-destruct, and I'm skipping a little ahead, self-destruct, dun, 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 bum, bum, dun, dun, the ending, dun, 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 and the ending of the song or whatever. So when that comes up, instead of going dun, 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 at the ending, he actually is still playing he's playing a drum pattern, and he kept going a little too far when James is trying to end it. So I'm like, oh, Lars, he screwed up a little bit there. But it's fine. Fuel, Seek and Destroy, and Master of Puppets. Fuel was great to hear. The pyrotechnics was awesome and everything. Seek and Destroy had these giant Metallica balls falling down M72 on him and all that kind of stuff. And Master of Puppets was also great as well. Overall, it was a solid set. I think Leper Messiah, at least in my opinion, saved it in terms of surprises in a sense, because I wasn't sure if we were going to hear Leper Messiah or not. Orion, of course, is a bucket list in terms of Metallica bucket list for hearing an instrumental live, but I wish there was a little more variety in the set. I feel like Metallica kind of got into a thing to where they're not really changing the set list too much, even though they're doing two nights. I wish they would add a little bit more variety. And I get it, they're getting up in age. I'm trying to remember all these other songs. They try to make the set list more crazy, but I kind of wish they did a little bit. Maybe this tour would have been more interesting if maybe they did it 10, 15 plus years ago, to where they had maybe not as much material to pull from for these two set lists, but there could have been more variety, and also 18 songs versus 16. But the band sounded great, so I'm not going to sit here and complain and go, ooh. But Night 2, I think, had a little bit better in terms of variety, and also, too, there was something I really wanted to talk about in terms of the song 1, and I'll get to that in Night 2. But overall, Night 1, besides the fact that my wife wasn't there, besides the fact that I missed the majority of the opening stuff, completely missed Mammoth, heard the ending of Pantera, I still had a decent time. It was just the fact my wife wasn't there, but the band sounded great. And there was some moments where Kirk's guitar wasn't turned up high until a little bit into certain lead parts. Not guitar solos, but there was certain lead parts, like the Orion riff after they played the dun 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 dun, like that riff. But then that little lead part comes in before the solo. When Kirk starts playing that part, leading it, about to get into a solo, at first his guitar wasn't turned up really high. It was kind of high, so you can kind of hear it. But then eventually they turned it up higher, so because his lead's coming up there. I also noticed, too, that the sound quality, at least for my ears, it's harder to hear certain stuff. But when I was recording certain bits, like the bass solo in Orion, of course, from Cliff's bass solo that, Robert's playing. Can't talk, sorry. I'm trying to think names. Jesus Christ. I couldn't really hardly hear the bass solo when I'm listening to it live, but as I'm recording it and listening on the playback, the recording sounds better. So I'm like, okay, so at least, the quality was there. It's just my ears just wasn't picking it up exactly. But yeah, night one, besides all the nonsense and everything and the anger and all that, it was overall a pretty good night one in terms of hearing the band again after a couple of years from since 2021. I've not seen them live since 2021, so that was good. But yeah, I'm excited to get to night two because that's really the thing is there's more to discuss in terms of night two. But yeah, night one overall, had a good time seeing them again. But yeah. Anyways, night two. Now for my review for night two. Now, right away, my wife was there. Everything was fine. We got to hear both opening bands. And so I have more to discuss in terms of overall this night versus night one. So we get there pretty early, and we park right across from the Ford Field, which is where they were playing. So I'm like, this is perfect and everything. We got out pretty fast, way faster than I thought after the show. But we get in, we're there, we're waiting, and then the first opening band comes up, Ice Nine Kills. Now, I've heard of the name. I think I made a video about them because I think they were like touring and opening for Metallica, I think last year. There was a video going around and people were discussing how the crowd was really responding to them when because they shared a live video of them performing in front of a Metallica audience because they're opening for the Metallica at some festival or something, some sort of whatever. But they're playing and there's not really a response. So I made a video saying, look, a lot of those people probably don't know who Ice Nine Kills is. It is what it is. But they're getting in front of a new audience, and that's the same thing what happened with night two here, opening, the first opening band. Of course, Five Finger Death Punch is next after them. So Ice Nine Kills goes up. They have like some people running around doing like a play type thing with their music because they're horror-based music in terms of like they're really into horror movies, so they incorporate that into their metal and everything, their metal music. Like I said, I've never heard them. I've only heard of the name. And I can technically say I still haven't heard them because the sound quality, at least from where I was, I can only speak from where I was. I can't speak for anybody else who's like maybe down there right in front of the stage. But from where I was sitting, I can technically say I still haven't heard them because I don't understand really what they were playing. I mean, I know they're playing music. I know they're playing riffs. I know the drummer's really fucking loud. Not his fault. I think it's just the sound just wasn't really working in terms of like making sure it reaches the whole entire stadium. Like the sound just wasn't there for them. Five Finger Death Punch definitely had a better sound, and I'm thinking this is like a trend where the first opening band doesn't sound as good, the second opening band is better, then Metallica sounds the best. I don't think that's what they're actually doing. I just think that's what it feels like to me that I've noticed over the last number of Metallica shows. But so Ice Nine Kills, I hear they're playing riffs. They're playing in the lower end. I'm not really registering what they're playing. All I'm hearing is that the bass drum from the drummer because it's so loud. The singer is singing. I really don't know what he's singing. No idea. I know he's doing some growls and screams, and he's saying, Detroit, Michigan, woo, people that were really paying, because a lot of people weren't really paying attention, and a lot of people weren't even there yet. They played, I think, 8 songs in total, and I couldn't really tell you. I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm not saying that. Just I couldn't hardly hear them. I couldn't really understand what they were playing, so maybe I need to check them out. But it was not a good first impression. But ultimately, I'm not going to fault them because they were playing and they were actually doing what they're supposed to be doing and all that. But I just couldn't really hear them too well. Five Finger Death Punch, of course, Five Finger Death Punch. Now I've known about this band for a long time. Right when they first came out back in high school, when I was in high school, and I remember listening to a lot of their their new music, which was now their oldest music at the time, a lot. I really dug them. Over the years, they've put out some pretty good stuff, but then they got to the point where I just kind of dropped off and really didn't listen to them that much. They played a few songs I actually recognized, whether it was from songs I've heard on the radio or even when they closed with The Bleeding, which is a really old song, because even he mentioned the vocalist, I forget his name, Ivan or something. I think that's his name, but anyways, he had mentioned we're going to throw back to where it all began, and they played The Bleeding as the closer, which was a good closer in my opinion. It sounded really great live. Heard that song a number of times back in the day. But there were some songs they played I really didn't recognize, but they're playing their heart out. They're really going out there, and the crowd really responded really well to them. It was really good, I think, because I wasn't sure, because Metallica fans, I'm not saying all Metallica fans, but some Metallica fans are kind of stuck in that kind of like, we're not going to listen to newer metal. We're going to listen to that 80s and 90s kind of metal bands or whatever. We're not going to listen to, because Five Finger Death Punch is a newer metal band, right? But there was a huge response to them. So that's a really good thing. That's a good thing for me to go, I was wrong, because I wasn't sure how this was going to go. But they did pretty solid. They did pretty damn good. So Five Finger Death Punch knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. Now to night 2 of the set list. So Metallica comes out, and of course my wife is there, so everything's great. great performance. Like, and I'll get to one towards the very end in terms of my thoughts, but my God, this was pretty damn good. I think they sounded better on night 2, in my opinion, than night 1. Even though Lars did screw up a couple of sections, some specific ones, and I'll get to as we go through the set list. But besides that, Kirk's guitar was always turned up when it's supposed to be. Rob's bass seemed to be louder in the mix for night 2, and I'm thinking because they learned from night 1 what maybe could be a little bit better. I'm thinking that's what it is. I wish night 2's sound was for night 1 as well, so that it was both great. But they definitely sounded better. And James, of course, I forgot to mention that for night 1, but James has sounded great for both nights, of course, obviously. And then moving around the stage and everything, it's really, really cool. So let's go through the set list. So I figured as much that we're going to open with Whiplash, Bells, and then to, From the Bell Tolls and Ride the Lightning. Figured that it was still great to hear those songs. From the Bell Tolls, for that every single show that I've seen Metallica, of course, are going to play it every single show for the most part. Well, obviously not night 1, but you get what I'm saying. They always do pull it out. But it was cool to hear Whiplash opening, because they opened with Whiplash back in 2021, so it was great to hear that again. Lars, the double bass immediately was really cool when they started off the song. Now, Ride the Lightning, here's where the first Lars flub. I have to address this because I can't not address it, because I have to, if I have to be honest. Look, Lars did overall really good. Okay, he was great. I'm just saying there are some flubs that it's like so apparent. I'm like, I know other people noticed. I know other people had to notice. So after the intro, dun 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 for Ride the Lightning, the riff kicks in, dun 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 dun, right? That first run through of the riff when it first kicks in, Lars is supposed to be waiting, and then good God, dun and then get to the drum beat. He goes right into the drum beat with the riff switches. So dun 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 dun. He's not waiting for the first pass to then jump in with the. So Kirk and Rob had to look over to make sure they were in sync. So when they switched to the dun 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 dun, so when they switched the riff to make sure he was in sync with them, because he wasn't supposed to come in as soon as he did. But they pushed through it. They managed. It's fine. It wasn't like Lars completely destroyed and they had to restart the whole song. It was just, I noticed he didn't wait. I don't know. I get it. They're all human. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of live performance. They're all human. They're going to make mistakes. It is what it is. Okay? It's fine. Now, 72 Seasons, Darkness Had a Son, Sanitarium, and Burn. Now, once again, the 3 72 Seasons songs sounded great. 72 Seasons sound great live. I love singing that with them. It was great to hear that song live. Darkness Had a Son, wish it would have been replaced, in my personal opinion, by Screaming Suicide, because they did perform that earlier in this tour, but they dropped it out. I really wish they would have played that instead of Darkness Had a Son. It's not a bad song. It's just, Sanitarium, always great to hear that live. And You Must Burn was so good live. I loved it. It was so good to hear that song live. I knew they were going to play it, but I loved it to death. Loved it. Cthulhu. Now, Call of Cthulhu sounded amazing. Another bucket list check from, of course, night 1. Orion, hearing an instrumental in person. Here's another Lars flub. So it's the part as they're building up towards the ending. Dun 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 bam 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 bam. So 1 2 3 bam. Then dun 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 1 2 bam. Lars does this. Dun 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 dun. Correct. Dun 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 dun. He does a third again. So instead of doing the 1 2 crash, he does 1 2 3 crash on the second time. And that's the first, and then the second's the 2 crash. He does it 3, so dun 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 dun, and they're dun 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 dun. So he's hitting an extra hit. So when that happens, Rob has to go over and stay in front of him to make sure he's doing the 3 and then the 2. Ding 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 ding. 3 2 3 2, not 3 3. It's like, yeah, so you had to keep him in. It's fine. I just had to address it because I noticed it. I'm like, oh no. But he figured it out. Rob was there. It was fine. And the thing is, they've addressed this. Whenever there's like a flub or something's going on and they have to get back in sync and make sure they're all in the same spot, Rob, Kirk, sometimes even James will go over at certain points if something happens or there's a screw up, make sure they're all synced in. They've discussed this before, so it's not like it's like I'm breaking news here. It's happened. You can literally watch videos where it's clear as day that's what they're doing to make sure they're all in sync. Because if Lars is completely thrown off, or he's completely screwed, something goes off the rails or whatever, or if one of them screws up, like Rob messes up a bass line or James Kirk does something, they got to make sure they're all in sync, or else the song's going to completely explode and fall apart. So I'm not breaking any news here. But I had to address it because I was like, oh no. But besides that, it was phenomenal here at Cthulhu. Unforgiven, Rome, Moth and the Flame. Great songs to hear, of course. Moth and the Flame was also great to hear from Hardwired because they played Hardwired, of course, the song from night one, but it was great to hear some Hardwired music because I wasn't sure. Like, I knew they were playing it, but I wasn't. I mean, are they actually going to keep playing these songs from Hardwired because they moved on to 72 Seasons, of course, the newer record? Like, because sometimes they forget some of their albums a little bit. Of course, we had Dirty Window. Did I mention that? Did I completely skip that? I think I skipped Dirty Window. Oh, no. I think I skipped talking about Dirty Window. My bad. My bad. It was great to hear a song from St.Anger. It was great. James, of course, introduced it. This is from your favorite album. But that was good. I'm sorry I missed that. I'm sorry I skipped that, guys. That this is. I knew something was gonna happen like this. I figured something was gonna happen like this, and I was right. But it was cool to hear Dirty Window because it is more of an obscure song from an album that people don't really talk about that much, unless you're talking about negative in a sense. But yeah, so Unforgiven, Rome, Moth, great stuff. Fight Fire with Fire. It was a nice surprise. This was really good for me personally because I wasn't expecting Fight Fire with Fire. I think they played Blackened at the last Sunday show, and so I was thinking either Battery or they're going to play Blackened again because maybe they switched something in the set to where they can actually play Blackened again because they're always trying to switch the sets to make them unique and stand out. But I wasn't expecting Fight Fire with Fire because they've only played that once on this tour. From what I remember, only one time on this No Repeat Weekend tour. So I wasn't expecting Fight Fire with Fire, but it was a nice surprise. Whiskey in the Jar, One, and Sandman. Now, Whiskey in the Jar, of course, was great. Crowd freaked out, loved it, all that. Enter Sandman, of course, always great to hear live. One. Here is something I'm going to say about One. And I'm surprised, okay? That's actually a good thing. I think this was their best performance I've seen in person of One, in my opinion. I think this was the best performance I've heard of One in person. Now, I've seen them in 2009, 2018, 2009, 2017, 2018, 2021, and now 2023, back-to-back, 2 nights. Now, of course, they only played one at night 2. They played one 2009, 2017, 2018, 2021. They played one at all shows. I think this might have been the best performance of One, in my opinion. I'm not sure what it is. I think once the drums start kicking in a high gear and then the riff kicks in towards the back half where everything's going to fucking chaos, it sounded just different. It just hit me different. I'm not sure what it is, but it was so good. And I'm like, this is like reminding me of like when I first started like discovering the song and getting into the song and really like digging it and like basically like it's like a new song for me at the time. Don't know why, it just hit me differently and I really loved it. It was really good. So yeah, it was good stuff. This is good stuff. So overall, I had a good time seeing Metallica night 1, of course, besides my wife not being there, which was really shitty. Night 2 was amazing with her being there and everything. Overall, it was a good experience. I had a good time. I kind of wish there was a little bit more variety in the set, but I will say Leper Messiah for night 1, Fight Fire Fire for night 2. Got to hear Orion and Cthulhu in person for the first time. Finally, I thought it would never happen, hearing an instrumental in person live for the first time. And hearing the 72 Season songs, the 6 songs from the album, from the new record, they all sounded great live, even though Darkness Out of the Sun could have been switched. Maybe Lux could have been switched, but it's fine. But I had a good time. Had a good time seeing the band. They sounded great. And as I mentioned in night 2 review, that I think this is the best performance I've seen in person of One, in my opinion. The song, it's just, I don't know what it was, just hit me differently. But I had a good time. Metallica kicked ass, and they did a really good job. And I think they had overall a good variety of opening bands, even though I couldn't hear Mammoth because of the whole debacle for night 1. But apparently they sounded really great, and apparently they're a pretty great band. I haven't really checked them out. But it seems like the crowds overall were responding pretty damn well. There's a lot of people there, so Metallica kicked ass, took names. Besides the Lars flubs, I had to address it. I'm sorry if you feel like that's like, oh, you're being really negative. I'm just addressing it because I know these songs well. There are Metallica fans out there that kind of know the songs. Like, they know some, but they don't know the others. I know all of them. I know every single one of them. So I will notice shit like that. I have to address it because it's something that it's going to egg at my head if I don't. Because if I don't mention it, it's going to feel like it's inauthentic because I'm not addressing some of the issues. But I had a good time with the show. It's great to hear them live. I don't know when I'm going to hear them live again. I have no idea in person. I have no clue, but I saw them both live. I don't have their shirt with me, but I did buy a beanie, the M72 beanie. It's really cool. But yeah, the shirt's in another room. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a great thing to talk about the band again. And my reactions to Night 1 and Night 2 will be out a little bit later this week. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you've seen Metallica live on this tour, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you thought about their performances. And if you were at Night 1 and Night 2 of the Detroit shows, let me know your thoughts about the shows, what you liked about them, maybe what songs you would have preferred over certain ones from either set. Whatever thoughts you have, guys, let me know in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.